I think when I take a look back not only at last week but just this semester in general, it's been a fun experience. One of the better coaching experiences that I've had so far in my career, just to watch this team develop, mature, grow, and knowing not only this span of a couple of months how much we've grown, but just the fact that I think we have so much more growth that can happen. So it's exciting. It's exciting to our staff. It's another thing I was thinking about this morning was just how much our staff has grown. We had some changes, and the development of our coaches and the involvement and how much they're helping our young ones grow has been really fun for me as a head coach to watch. And again, we have a lot more ahead of us, but I'm excited about the way that we're handling our day-to-day activities. Preparation for games has been good. And as we go on the road to Oklahoma State, it's really imperative that we continue to approach every game one at a time. I think that's been almost like our mantra, is just what's tomorrow, and let's not worry about anything else but what tomorrow is about. And, going to OSU is always a tough place to play, and, they're playing better. They're playing really good basketball right now, and, look at the standings right now, and they're one game out of being in fourth or tied. So I think, as I've said several times in the last week, everybody is playing for something. And they're playing the kind of basketball right now that looks like they've sort of turned the corner, as opposed to the last time we were playing them, where I thought they had maybe a lack of confidence after a couple of losses.
LaShawn seems to, take on a personality and take on the attitude on the court that maybe you were always looking for from her. Where is she in what you believe she can be and what she's accomplished so far?
I think one thing that I appreciate about LaShawn, even though there's been some, I would call them dark moments for her, where she's really gotten down on herself, and quite honestly, I've had some question marks about whether she was going to be able to overcome some mental setbacks that she would have, and most of it is her beating her own self up when she makes mistakes. But I think that her growth has been because of her persistence and her willingness to not quit on herself or her team. And then I think the other piece to her growth is really the mentorship from our seniors and from our older players. Bree has sort of taken LaShawn under her wing, and it's another defender that will say, hey, if I'm having a bad night or I'm tired, can you come help me out? And I think LaShawn is sort of taken that role on, as I'm going to come off the bench and be an energy person and give our team a spark. I think she's starting to see the importance of team and kind of what the purpose of all this is. So it's easier, I think, when they overcome the part where they think it's about them. And when a player gets to the point where they really see what the team is all about and what winning as a team can be about and how fun it is, then I think they get out of themselves a little bit. And I think that's happened with LaShawn. She's matured.
On that taking someone under your wing kind of note, did Kelsey at all do that with Joyner, or is Joyner the kind of person that is kind of take charge and kind of do it on her own and work through that kind of stuff? Not that Kelsey didn't help her, but
yeah.
Is she kind of more of a, I've got this?
She is in a way. I wouldn't want to say that she doesn't have a little bit of that personality, but I think that once she had some setbacks, I think that it made her realize, hey, Kelsey's done this before, and maybe she does know what she's doing. And I think she started to listen much better to the older players and quite honestly to the coaches also. And that's not a knock on Joyner. It's all the young players have to figure out they're not in the same place that they were in high school, and they don't really know everything. And I think once they figure that out and give in to that and let the older players help them, then they get better faster.
Did you see the LaShawn play where she dropped her mouthpiece?
I didn't.
And got it back. What's y'all's protocol on hygiene there?
Just the 5-second rule is what it is. And I think that from what I understand, I had some friends write me and say, if you haven't seen that, you have to go back and watch it. And I did not watch the TV version, so it wasn't visible on our film, but it doesn't take her long to do anything, so I'm guessing that it wasn't on the floor very long. That's classic, though. I'll tell you what, the block was pretty good, too. I did watch that one over.
What's been the biggest challenge for the Grandview sisters this year?
I think finding their way, really, that's been the hardest part for them, is just, first of all, they're separate. They're two different young women, and sometimes they get clumped in together, and one is older than the other, one has more experience, one plays a different position. So I think finding their own way has been a struggle, and then figuring out what their roles are. And part of that's on me. You know, I probably didn't do a good enough job. I sort of assumed some things that it's just never a good thing to assume, that they would understand a few things better, and communication is always key. And we had a conversation a week or so ago just about defining their roles a little bit better and how could I help them, and it seemed to have helped them. They seem to be settling in and understanding. I mean, they're good kids and they're good teammates, but all of them are just trying to figure out what their roles are.
Does changing your hair color help with that?
You know, maybe it did. Maybe they decided that was a good idea to separate so everybody wouldn't think they were the same person.
You said something like the coaches are growing too. Jamie is the newest coach. Were you talking about her as far as it's taken her time to get used to the players that she has and for the relationship to develop?
No, I actually was talking more about the growth of them as coaches. And I mean, together we're a collective group that has to be all one. So anytime you put, I mean, it's just like the team. We put a bunch of new players on the team this year, and it's taken a while to be a collective group and be a team. And our staff is, anytime you have a change, it's the same scenario. You have people in different roles. You have people that may have different responsibilities. So yes, I mean, Jamie obviously had to fit into the mold, and she's done a great job with that. But I mean, George has been with me for the entirety that I've been here, and I've seen more growth in him this year. Maybe just different responsibilities and maybe feeling like his voice could be heard a little bit differently. But I think that he has sort of mastered what I'm asking him to do on the floor, and he's doing a great job of it. I think Tina's taken a much bigger role as far as having a voice. I mean, she had to get her feet wet last year too, even though I think everybody knows how great a player she is. Coaching is still different than playing. And she's found her voice, and I just think that they all really work well together, and this is a very cohesive group that I really appreciate.
I have a scouting question.
Sure.
You obviously scout for your next game.
Everybody laughs at you all the time when you have questions.
I set myself up or something, I don't know. But people would want to know, are you keeping tabs of who you're playing next Monday? Because that'll be the toughest game of the year to this date. Do you keep tabs of Baylor and what they're doing? And so when you do play them next week, you'll that much further ahead?
So am I scouting them? Is that kind of what you're asking? I tell you what I look at every Monday. I do look at the standings, because you do want to know what place you're in. And, you know, once a week we have a conversation about seedings. We have a conversation about, again, back to what I said last week, you have to teach them. What are we doing here? And, I mean, there's a good thing if you finish in the top 2 in the league when it comes to the conference tournament. I mean, there's things that they need to understand about what we're trying to do. And again, we've gone back to the hosting and all of that. So every week, I mean, we have a conversation about RPI and just where we are in the grand scheme of things. And that's about it. I mean, then we talk about who our next opponent is. And quite honestly, that's all this team needs to do. I mean, we've taken one day at a time, and it wouldn't matter who we were playing Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. It doesn't matter what we're doing. I'm not the type of coach anyway that would look ahead. I don't. I mean, my assistants have responsibilities that go with working ahead a little bit, but from a head coaching perspective, that's not a good idea.
Is that more difficult with a team when you show them the standings this week and they see 10-0 and 10-0, we play them in a week because it's so much closer, I guess, than 3 weeks ago or something? Do you think it makes it any tougher for players to just focus on today and focus on Oklahoma State?
I think it would if you didn't have some players that have been through some certain experiences. So I think that we have enough older players that, I mean, we're starting 4 players that they're juniors and seniors. So the starters who we really depend on getting us off on a good foot and leading our team in the locker room and everywhere else, I mean, those players have stumbled at times and not put themselves in the situation that we would want to be in, and they've had successes in certain situations. So I think that they know better than to look ahead. I think they all understand that Oklahoma State is a good team. I mean, we thought they were a great team when they came in here, and they just they had a couple of setbacks, and they didn't look the same. They had lost some confidence, and I mean, they look different right now. So I think that would be a team that it would be a big mistake to overlook them. And, we come in here Saturday with, again, another team that's fighting for a bid. So I don't think we'll get into that. I don't think our players will have a problem with that.
Is this a little like TCU in that sense? That the first time you played them, they're a much different team than
I think if we're not careful, yes. I think that's a good comparison just in a sense of, TCU had another player that didn't play against us the first time, who's a terrific freshman, and she was hurt the first time we played them. Much better. Everybody plays better at home. Everybody in the league plays better at home. So a similar situation in a sense of it's not going to be the same game. They're on their home court. They're playing better. They have an all-conference post player that nobody seems to be able to stop, and we've got to do a better job than what we did going into the TCU game. And again, I didn't think we prepared bad. I just thought that they played really good at home, and we struggled a little bit in some areas.
Is this challenge for Oklahoma State within that kind of trap cliche, just because of how poorly they played on offense, and which is credit to your defense as well, but them knowing that they have a point to prove against, and how does your team, I guess, handle that, not let down kind of look ahead spot, but knowing that you guys really shut them down last.
Well, I hope that they'll look back at the film. It will show them some things that we did well. Even the West Virginia game, I mean, we played really well up there defensively, and I thought we played better yesterday against them defensively in some areas. I thought we played smarter and more solid. I think the biggest thing for our team right now, and I think they recognize it, I'm just not sure that we're addressing it, is that we're not rebounding very well. And, I mean, you look at the standings, and, I mean, it's not coach speak. I mean, we're really not blocking out. We're not doing some things that will get us in trouble in Stillwater. They're a really good rebounding team. And so for me, and I hope for our players, it's really still about how I started this conversation in the first place, which is that I think we have so much more room for growth. And if we're trying to build towards having a good run in the tournament and all those things that we hope we can do, then we have to keep getting better. And some of it is execution on offense. Some of it is blocking out and being detail-oriented defensively. Some of it is continuing the young players' growth. Jada Underwood came in yesterday, hadn't played in a couple of games, and had sort of lost her confidence a little bit, but has, really worked hard in practice. And I thought her length could help us yesterday, and it did. So you're seeing game in and game out some young players that are really able to kind of hold the fort down when we get in foul trouble or things like that. And I just think we have to continue that if we want to make a run.
What is Tasia Bowman going through? She didn't play. I mean, she still got an ear problem.
I think she's definitely healthier. There's no question. I think it's just it's a situation right now where, it always hurts a player, I think, when they don't get reps and they're out. That conversation happened with the Twins because of loss of reps. Anytime that they're out for a period of time, it's hard to get back in the flow. And quite honestly, it's hard right now, even for Shug playing, I think, pretty good basketball. I mean, there's a numbers game sometimes in some instances, and LaShawn is just playing really, really well right now. So it's.
Doesn't have a balance problem anymore?
I don't think, no. I mean, she's healthy. It's just a matter of,
Reps.
yeah, getting back in the fold.
Karen, just back on the assistants for just
Mhm.
a second. Do they have the same aspirations that like Travis did moving on and becoming a head coach? And is that, I know it was great to get Travis in front of the microphone, great to get George as well. Is that something that they all kind of want and you want for them?
I think you always want for your assistants whatever it is that they're trying to get accomplished. And I think the biggest thing for me is to help them grow and give them a platform to grow. And Jody allowed me to grow. And sometimes it was hard lessons, and sometimes it was just letting me coach and do. And I think that I learned that from her. So I want them to have responsibility, and they spend a lot of time with our kids, and so has to be a lot of trust because they do spend a lot of time with them. But they're here for a reason, and if you put them in a box, then I think that's the worst. I mean, we're supposed to be growing our profession, and I hope that they all want to be head coaches because I think it motivates them to work harder if that's their aspiration. But you also have coaches that they have their niche, and that's what they want to do, and they don't want the responsibilities. And we haven't really gone in depth about those things. I mean, Jamie just got here, so I think she's trying to establish herself, and really Tina did too. And George, I'm proud that he, first of all, has been committed to staying here, and he's grown tremendously. He was very green when he came in here, and he's grown into a very mature coach, and one that I rely on quite a bit just because he does understand how I do things. And, I think you'd have to ask them. I mean, we don't talk about it every day. I definitely try to talk to them about what I think their potential is and hope that they have the patience to help us grow, and in turn they're rewarded by that.
Did you know you wanted to be a head coach, or was it something that you grew into as you got into the profession and got into wanting to do this?
You grow into it. I don't think you know. I mean, when I took my first assistant's job, I would have never thought that recruiting would be something I could do very well. Because I'd been coaching in high school all that time, and then when I took my first assistant's job at North Texas, that was the biggest question mark for me is, can you recruit? Because you've never done that before, and that ended up being a niche for me that I found. So I don't think, you just grow into it, I think. I don't think it's something that you start and say that, maybe some people do, but I do understand the process, and I think that's the one thing that I really try to get across to them is not to get in a hurry with it, because it was the biggest gift to me that Jody gave me, which was, I think I've told the story a million times, but when I came in there after my second year thinking I could be a head coach, and she told me to go back in my office and get to work. And, it was 3 or 4 or 5 years later when I realized that was a possibility, but that was a blessing for me that she did that because I wasn't even remotely ready. And I think sometimes that happens with young coaches. And I spend a lot of time talking in seminars and things like that. I think that so many of them jump into it before they understand that there's a lot more to this than just coaching basketball. And so I was very thankful to Jody that she told me to go back in my office and learn some more lessons. And I felt a lot more comfortable and ready when it happened.
You like, obviously, Joyner's aggression, but she can't help you if she's sitting on the bench. Is there something a coach can do to corral some of that energy where she doesn't make silly?
I actually think Joyner's been really good at it. She hasn't. A typical freshman spends their whole freshman year in foul trouble. That's just kind of typical, or at least a whole semester. And I'm really proud of the fact that she's able to for the most part, stay out of foul trouble. I mean, she has some games, and I thought yesterday the second one was very unfortunate. It was almost wrong place, wrong time kind of thing, but it's a fine line with my teams, and I know that. I mean, they probably think I'm crazy because I get on to them all the time for not pressuring the ball and getting up the line and being aggressive, and then I'm on them for fouling. So, it's a double-edged sword when you play the way we play, but I think some games that we've really improved about. Ariel's the one, if you really want to get at it, that we have to have a lot of conversations with how can you stay out of foul trouble, because she can't help herself. She did great last night. I watched her on film, and I was like, she looks like she's really paying attention to this tonight, which I was really proud of. And Bree's another one. I mean, we have to try to corral them sometimes.